Hello, and welcome to Crypto Solution Binance Square, AMA. We are thrilled to have you join this session, where the latest trends, insights, and discussions from the world of blockchain and cryptocurrency are shared. This AMA is designed for everyone who is curious about crypto, whether you are just starting your journey or already have experience in trading, investing, or exploring digital assets. Over the next few minutes, you will hear informative discussions, updates, and valuable perspectives that can help you stay informed and make smarter decisions in the rapidly evolving crypto ecosystem. Our goal is to provide a platform where participants can learn, ask questions, and engage with experts, enthusiasts, and fellow community members. During this AMA, we encourage you to participate actively by sharing your thoughts, asking questions, and exploring ideas. Remember, your engagement helps make the session more interactive and enjoyable for everyone. As you listen, you can reflect on the possibilities of blockchain technology, digital assets, decentralized finance, and the innovative solutions shaping the future of the crypto world. We hope that this AMA will inspire you to explore more, stay curious, and continue learning about the exciting developments in cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. Thank you for joining us today at Binance Square AMA. We appreciate your time, attention, and enthusiasm. Stay tuned for more sessions, insights, and updates from the world of crypto, and we look forward to welcoming you in the next AMA. Remember to follow Binance Square and stay connected with the community to ensure you never miss an update or an opportunity to learn and grow in this ever-evolving space. Once again, welcome and enjoy the session. Hello, and welcome.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's Binance Live AMA. Thank you so much guys for joining us. So today's topic is the future of DeFi. And this is such a timely conversation because we know that DeFi is no longer just about high APY or speculative cycles, right? This industry is now facing bigger questions, right? That would be stablecoin yield regulation, security, transparency, audits, and how DeFi can grow responsibly in emerging markets like India. So for tonight's AMA guys, joining us today is Miss Paula, the CEO of AetheriumX, CMO of AetheriumX John, and Miss Anjali, the head of India at AetheriumX. So guys, before we start, just a quick note for everybody, okay? Nothing in today's discussion is financial advice. Just a disclaimer, okay? We're here to discuss market structure, product direction, and how AetheriumX is thinking about the next phase of DeFi. So, with that being said, Miss Paula, let us start with you. Please give everyone a quick introduction, first and foremost.
Hello, guys. I am Paula. I am the CEO at AetheriumX, and in short, my focus is actually a long-term strategy, product direction, and making sure that AetheriumX develops in a way that is sustainable across cycles and not only when the market is strong. So very happy to join today's conversation.
Thank you, Paula, for that. So, passing the microphone to John. Go over our CMO.
Thank you, Caitlin. I'm Joel. I'm the CMO at AetheriumX. What I do here is that I focus on communication. I focus on community management, market positioning, and helping users understand what we are building in a clear and responsible way.
Thank you, John, for that. Now, over to you, Miss Anjali.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for inviting us. I'm Anjali Dubey, that is head of India at AetheriumX, and I'm responsible for marketing, for market expansion, for partnerships, and ecosystem growth in India specifically. And let me give you guys a quick brief of Indian market. We all know like India is a very important market with a huge population and huge user base, but also one that requires patience, local understanding. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do at AetheriumX, and I'm very excited for today's conversation.
Wow, that's great. Thank you very much, guys, for those lovely introductions. So, with that being said, let's go to our Amy proper and let us begin with one of the most important topics in DeFi right now, and that is stable coins and yield. So, starting with you, Miss Paula, we know that stable coins have become one of the most important products in crypto, right? They solve real payment problems. They, especially across, cross-border payments and even on-chain settlement. But I believe alongside that solution, there's also a difficult question coming along with it. And that question would be, should stablecoins generate yield for users the way bank deposits do? So, Miss Paula, how do you look at this?
I love this topic, honestly. I think it's very important now to have this conversation. And that's the next phase of DeFi, basically. So, stable coins clearly solve many payment problems, and they give a lot of opportunities as well. They move faster than traditional banking rails, they work across borders, they are available 24/7, they are fast, and etc. But once stable coins become like large enough, they naturally start to compete with parts of the banking system. And that's where the yield question becomes quite sensitive. So banks take deposits and can generate interest because they operate under a very specific regulatory structure. Stablecoins are different. They may look familiar to users because they represent like digital dollars or assets, but structurally they are not the same as bank deposits. So when people ask whether stablecoins should provide yield, I think we should ask, where does that yield come from? Who is taking the risk? And who is allowed to distribute it? If the yield comes from transparent DeFi activity, that needs to be clearly explained, right? If it comes from reserves, that creates a different regulatory question. And if users treat stablecoins like risk-free bank accounts, but the structure underneath is not the same, then expectation management becomes extremely important. So at AetheriumX, we think stablecoin yield will remain a major area of innovation, but it has to become much, much more disciplined. The industry cannot just say stablecoin yield and assume users understand the risk they're taking. Users need clarity around source of yield, duration, liquidity, and also potential downside as well.
Thank you, Miss Paula. That's a really important distinction to explain to everybody. Now, John, from a communications and user education standpoint, how should projects talk about stablecoin yield without creating the unrealistic expectations?
Yeah. I think this is a very important question. So the first thing a project should do is to stop making a yield sound simpler than it is. So because a stable coin yield can be attractive because the asset itself feels familiar. So users can see, for example, USDT, USDC, or any other stable coin, and they naturally will assume lower volatility. But actually, lower price volatility does not mean zero risk at all. And there's always a smart contract risk in addition to that. And for example, we have counterparty risk, we have liquidity risk and regulatory risk and other execution risk that could happen. So in my opinion, the way the project should communicate stablecoin yield is that they have to be more careful. And here at AetheriumX, we believe that communication should make the structure visible. So users should know whether they are looking at fixed return, a variable return, or an incentive-driven return. or just a strategy-based return. So everything I mentioned is a different thing. And I think the future of DeFi cannot depend on users misunderstanding risk. It has to depend on users understanding the product clearly and enough to make better decisions.
That's a great standpoint, John. So it's not only a product issue, it's also an expectation issue, right?
Exactly, 100%. Because in DeFi, bad communication can become a risk factor, and if people enter a product with the wrong expectation, even a normal market movement can feel like a failure. So the responsibility is not only to build, but also to explain to the community what we are building.
Yeah, actually, in general, in Web3, communication is the key. So I agree with everything that Jean-Claude is saying, and I think this is where regulation will keep evolving. Stable coins are becoming too important to remain outside serious policy discussion. The industry should not fear, that conversation and communication. So if stable coins are going to become a major payment layer, then the rules will come, obviously. The question is that our projects can adapt without losing the advantages that made stablecoins useful in the first place.
That's a very good point, guys. And we know that stable coins are indeed solving real problems, but is the yield the layer is where the conversation becomes much more complex. So thank you guys for giving us your insights and inputs regarding that. Now let us move to security because DeFi security has always been one of the biggest concerns, right? Actually, just take a look around. We've been seeing exploits, contract bugs, liquidity attacks, Oracle manipulation, right? And they're still happening. So, Paula, do you think DeFi can ever become truly safe?
Um, that's that's a very great question. Um, I wish, and I think we need to be realistic. DeFi security will always be an ongoing battle in our industry. This is not unique to crypto. If you look at the early history of banking, it was also full, of risk, failures, frauds, bank runs, and bad actors, and etc. So today people think of bank as safe, but truly, if we dig deeper, and long-lasting banks are actually rare, uh, you know. So the fact that DeFi has security issues is not surprising. It is a part of building a new financial system. The important question is not whether risk exists. Of course, it does. The question is whether the industry is becoming better at identifying, reducing, and responding to those risks. So DeFi is still young. The infrastructure is improving. Audits are becoming more standard. Monitoring is getting better, and users are becoming more educated, which is very important. But this process will take time. For AetheriumX, the lesson is very clear. Security and transparency have to be treated as core product responsibilities, not not just like marketing points. Um, we also have to be honest. AetheriumX still has areas to improve. I'm not denying that. Every serious project does. But what matters is that we are moving toward more transparency and stronger verification. So that's why we are working with third-party security review and audit processes, including Certic. We want our contracts, voucher mechanisms, and related product infrastructure to go through proper review before wider use. This is not about saying everything is perfect, almost. It's about showing users that we are actually conscious, we are mindful, and we are taking the right steps.
Thank you, Miss Paula, for that. That honesty is indeed very important for us to understand. But John, how do you communicate security progress without, over promising to the users?
Yeah, exactly. This is very, very important because you have to be super careful with language, because in crypto we hear a lot of projects say, quote unquote secure, as if it means like there's no longer risk that exists, and that's not really responsible. So, in my opinion, a better way or a better approach is to communicate the process. So just say, like what has been deployed, what is being audited, like what permission still exists currently, what will change after the audit, and what can user verify on chain. So, so just for example, if certain owner permissions are still retained after the final configuration and audit completion, that should be explained clearly. And if those permissions are planned to be renounced after the review, uh, that should also be communicated in a transparent way. And also the transaction hash where that happened, that should also be provided and posted in a transparent way to all the community. And I think that's how you build trust, not by asking users like please believe us, but by just giving them proof and a path for themselves to verify what is being presented to them.
Love that, John. So
Yeah,
basically,
yeah.
transparency is not only saying we care about security, it's about showing them the stages, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So users understand that the product evolve, and what they don't like is uncertainty or like vague statements. So if something is still in progress, we would just say it's in progress. And if an audit is underway, so just say that. And if there are final checks being happening, just explain why. And that's especially very important in DeFi, in my opinion, because users are interacting with financial products, and the standards are to be higher than the normal user consumer apps. Yeah,
If I will add, if you finish,
of
Jean-Claude.
course,
Uh,
of course, the
okay.
stage is yours.
So, and to add to that, what Jean-Claude just said, like DeFi security, it's not only about smart contracts, it also includes user education, permission management, front-end risk, phishing protection, and operational response. So, a project can have audited contracts but still expose users to risk if the user journey is unclear. So, security has to be thought of as a full system. At AetheriumX, we are trying to make every participation record clearer, more traceable, and more connected to ecosystem value. And that includes voucher systems, on-chain records, and better user-facing transparency. So back to you, Kate.
Love that, guys. That makes total sense indeed. And I think, Paula, I mean, what you added, that connects to something that you've said before, right? Which is DeFi can be imperfect, but it cannot be careless, right?
Yes, of course. I mean, users may accept market risk, they may accept that yields change, they may accept that DeFi is still developing, but well, definitely they should not feel that, security is something that they need to like question. So, yeah, that's my perspective.
Wow, that is probably one of the strongest principles for the industry right now. Thank you so much for that, guys. Now, moving forward, let us move to the future of DeFi, especially in emerging markets. So, Anjali, India is one of the most talked about markets in crypto, right? And I think you've mentioned that from the introduction. You've mentioned huge population, young users, strong tech talent, and even the high digital adoption. So, Miss Anjali, how do you see India's DeFi potential?
I think it's a great question, and I was literally waiting for this section so that I can share more about India. So India has enormous potential for sure, but it's also a market that requires a very careful approach. The population advantage is obvious. Like India has a young, digitally native population, strong mobile adoption. There's a large developer base and a growing interest in crypto. So many users are already familiar with centralized exchanges. They're familiar with stable coins and basic crypto participation. But when we talk about DeFi, there is still a different step. It requires more trust. It requires more education, more confidence in on-chain system. So I would say India has DeFi potential. It has a very large DeFi potential, but the conversion from crypto curiosity to real DeFi usage, it's still in progress. And one of the biggest challenges, if I talk about, is regulatory uncertainty. Users are interested for sure, builders are active, and communities are growing, but policy clarity is still a major risk factor, and that affects how projects enter the market and how aggressively they should operate. For EtheriumX, the strategy in India is not to chase fast growth at any cost. We want a long-term approach. We want to build slowly through channels, through partnerships, through education, and through local trust, and that's what we're doing.
That is truly amazing to hear, Miss Anjali. That is consistent with what you've said before, right? I mean, India is not a market that you rush. So, totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if a project enters India with only hype, it may get attention for short term, but that doesn't create durable growth. As I said, India is a relationship driven and more trust driven market. So local channels, they matter a lot. Communities matter. Education matters. The way a product is explained matters. And if I talk about DeFi specifically, users need to understand like what they're doing. They need to understand that yield is not magic, and that smart contracts have risk, that security and transparency matter. And if we skip that step, like 1,000 other projects, adoption will not be healthy. So our approach is to build foundations first.
That is amazing to hear. Thank you, Miss Anjali, for that. Now, let's take a look at it from the CEO perspective. Miss Paula, how does India fit into the bigger DeFi future?
Um, as Anjali, our star Anjali already explained, India is very important. And I agree with her that it has to be approached carefully. The future of DeFi will not only, be built in the US or Europe. Emerging markets will matter a lot because the need for open financial infrastructure is real. Payments, yield access, asset management, and cross-border capital flows are all relevant. But regulatory uncertainty means projects cannot simply copy paste the same strategy everywhere. That is why Ethereum X takes a regional sequencing approach. Some markets allow faster movement, some require deeper groundwork. India is clearly a high potential market, no doubt, but it is also a market where trust and compliance awareness, I believe, matter a lot.
Yeah, and Paula, let me continue. I think from a communication angle, India does require a localized education. So you can just publish like global content and expect users to adopt complex DeFi products. So the messaging has to be clear, practical, and connected to how people actually think about crypto there. And actually, this is where Anjali role becomes very important. Local leadership, as what Anjali does, help us avoid mistakes of treating India as just another big user number, because it's much, much more complex than that.
Yes, I would like to add, I think one thing people sometimes miss is that India users are very smart and they are very selective. They do a lot of comparison. They ask questions. They care about trust. So, if EthereumX wants to grow there in India, we need to show consistency over time.
Wow, guys. So, in summary, what you guys are saying is that the future of DeFi in India is 100% promising, but it would depend on education, on the trust, and regulatory awareness, right?
Yes, yes, that's the right way to frame it.
Thank you so much, guys, for that. And, just a follow up question on this topic as well, since we're already, diving deep on it. What kind of DeFi products do you think are, the most realistic for India in the early stage?
I think it's a great question. And from my perspective, I think simple, transparent DeFi product will be easier to introduce first. And anything that is too complex or that is too aggressive will require more education, and it may create unnecessary risk. So, stablecoin related use cases or transparent yield structures, and eventually AI assisted asset management could be interesting, I suggest, but only if users understand the risk clearly. So the opportunity, is not just to bring DeFi to India. It is to bring DeFi in a way that users can trust and they can continue using.
Thank you so much, Miss Anjali, for all of those amazing insights, especially in regards with the Indian market and the future of DeFi in the Indian market. And actually, this has been a very grounded discussion, right? I love the inputs that you guys have expressed in this conversation. So we started with the stablecoin yield and the question of whether stablecoins can or should behave like interest-bearing financial products, right? And then we moved the discussion into DeFi security, where the message was very clear, and that is, Miss Paula emphasized it: risk will always exist, but we have ways, right? Transparency, audits, and better systems are how the industry matures, right? In the security standpoint. And finally, we discussed India as one of the most important feature of DeFi markets, but it is also one that requires patience, education, local channels, and even regulatory awareness. So, Paula, John, Anjali, thank you so much, guys, for this amazing discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Thank you too. I think that was discussion that's really neat and relevant in DeFi right now. And guys, there is one important thing I have to say. Have a good upcoming weekend. Thank you so much for joining. Take a good rest as well.
Yeah, I want to also thank everyone for being here today, for listening to us, and it was really, really very important conversation. And yeah, just have a nice weekend.
Thank you so much, and I think you were such a great host, and excited to keep building in India step by step. And thanks a lot for inviting us.
Thank you so much, guys, for that. And thanks to everyone for watching on Binance Live right now. So, guys, just for a final call to action, please follow EtheriumX for more updates as we continue building a more transparent, more secure, and more accessible DeFi ecosystem. So, thank you, everyone. See you next time. Enjoy your weekend and happy Mother's Day. Advance happy Mother's Day to all mothers out there. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.